Guys, it's Debbie, and I am back from a 2-week vacation and really looking forward to podcasting today with Zulia. And she's one of my mentors, educators on red light therapy. She works for FlexBeam Recharge Health, and we are going to dive into all things red light therapy and how it works. So hopefully you have experimented with red light therapy, and send me your questions after this show. Put it in the comments and we'll get back to you on what you're wanting to know more about. I've been using red light therapy. I have this annoying injury right now on top of my half gastric head I'll talk about, and I've been wrapping the recharge flex beam around it. I just was away for 2 weeks, as I said, and I took my Kineon red light therapy band because it's a great portable case, and I put it on my neck for helping inflammation and, well, inflammation, but more I was looking at thyroid and circulation, and then I put it on my knee when I was traveling. They have the top of the gastric head tendon issue. So I'm really interested in learning more and also looking at how red light therapy can help with our mitochondria. And we talked before with FlexBeam about putting the red light therapy FlexBeam on my belly and how that works. So I am just waiting for her to come on the show. She's in Europe. I'm back over here on the West Coast in San Diego. So we should have podcasted while I was in Italy. I was in Florence a week and right by the Uffizi Gallery. And then I was in Lucca, Tuscany area, pretty much right by Florence, but we rented an Airbnb over there. Next time, definitely going to go to Lucca and rent bikes for the whole week. If you want a good bike rental place, I met the owner. She's American, of Amici. It is a great place to rent really nice road bikes, gravel bikes, and really figure out all the amazing routes from there. We did do a day ride to Pisa and had the map working to get us to Pisa. We had a little trouble getting the map to bring us back home. So much fun. Makes you want to travel more often. If I lived on the East Coast, I'd be going to Europe twice a year. I just think it's so fascinating to be with all these different countries and listen to people speak of different languages and observe how people live life to the fullest in countries as Italy, and watching how people age and how much they move throughout the day. And they don't use cars everywhere. Most people are using bicycles and walking, and how you have to have a lot of strength, go up all those stairs, go walking on the cobblestones that are very uneven, and how we're just moving. I use my Garmin watch to track my steps, and I was getting 10, 12 miles some days of walking because we were just exploring every day. And then other days we were just making sure we walked and experienced the morning, experienced the evening, especially when in Florence, and the nightlife. And so we'd eat dinner and then go walk another hour. So it's really different coming back home and not getting my movement in as much as I was on vacation. So here she is. Let's bring her in and we will talk about how we can improve our current self to be our best self in the future, as I'm on a mission to improve how we age. And part of that, I got this makeup line called Prime Prometics. I have this amazing new lip gloss, by the way. And the makeup is for people in their prime. And it made me start thinking of prime. I want to be in my prime when I'm retired. So that's kind of my mission now on the show, is to focus on what we can do to be in our prime when we're 80. All right, here we go. All right, guys, I love to talk to other people who are working on improving their future self. And one of my favorite teachers on light therapy and more is a new friend, Zulia Frost, works for Recharge Health, and talking about FlexBeam or red light therapy and whatever we can do to be fit and healthy from the inside out at a cellular level. So I'm excited to dive into whatever our conversation leads to today.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. Thank
Yeah,
you.
and we are just chatting before we hit record that you're in Barcelona. Do you pronounce it? How do you pronounce it? I'll ask you.
Barcelona.
That's it. So,
Bonita.
side note, why is it called Barcelona? I heard this yesterday. Do you know why it's called Barcelona versus Barcelona? Barcelona.
Uh, I mean, this is just how Spanish pronounce the.
Uh,
Some like maybe South America pronounce like with Z,
mm.
Z and Spanish the. So yeah,
So
that's it.
I heard, so this might be wrong then. Yesterday, someone just told me that the Barcelona is because originally the king or somebody had a list.
Ah, yeah, I heard that story too. And many words are pronounced this way because it's the, like it's
Uh,
almost like English th together,
mm.
more as yeah. I'm still learning Spanish.
Where are you originally from?
Well, it's a difficult question because I live in many countries, but originally from Russian states. And then the big chunk of my life I lived also, yes, in Kazakhstan as well. I lived for a long time. And then I lived in UK for 25 years. Only from the UK relocated to Spain.
Oh, fun. Well, I just was saying how I wish we could live in London and or the UK so you can travel 2 hour flight to any country every weekend. I just think it's a great life to live where you are down over there. So let's dive into what your passion is, your purpose, your mission. What do you do and why do you do it?
Oh, it's a really fundamental but huge question because my purpose is to help people to find their health because I think maybe because my I started my professional career as a medical doctor. I was dealing with ill people and now become a much more mature person in life. I see that it's much better to invest in your health
Hmm.
before you get sick. And if you do it in the right way, you will never get sick. And it doesn't matter
Hmm.
how old you are, 50, 60, 70, you still can be pretty active. You still can do things which you love doing. It should not prevent you. But please invest in your health now before it gets too late.
Hmm.
And my mission is to energize people's health because
Hmm.
this is another thing which I discovered throughout all my, pondering and learning in life, as we all do, that in medicine you address the illness, in like physiotherapy you address maybe physical exercises, manual therapy would address your mechanical posture, nutritional give you wonderful supplements, yes, but nobody addressing the lack of energy in the body. And energy starts from the cell. And that's why I'm devoting a big chunk of my life to study that energy, but also to create tools which people can use to do this work effectively.
Where are you saying the energy is created from the cell? Right. Mitochondria, is that what you refer to?
Um, yes, mitochondria, of course, super fundamental because this is the actual energy plant in the cells, and people refer this often, and it generates ATP, adenosine triphosphate, which again referred as a currency of that energy. This is where the cells generates energy. But beyond that, I mean, look at this. Our body is electric. We have
Hmm.
electricity flowing in our body. We have light channels. We have
Hmm.
quantum fields. We literally swimming in these fields, which often referred in science as a biofields. And in order to understand this, you need to comprehend the complexity of energetic interactions in the body. But of course, if you want to start somewhere, start with the cell.
That's what I've learned from my own experience. Personally, well, it's 2013 when I started having health problems. I was already in programs, learning how to be a more of a holistic health practitioner. But I had my own health problems, which is why I talk about being fit and healthy from the inside out, because I was doing Ironman, World Championship, I was doing marathons, cycling long distance events, top of my age group, and competing to be top three of my age group was always my goal. And then suddenly I had no energy and flatlined by just metabolic chaos, we say as FDN practitioners. But it led me down this pathway to understand what went wrong, what happened to me, and how can I avoid it, and how many red flags we get along the way that we override and push through as high performers, and feel that just because I'm fit and I can compete at a high level doesn't necessarily mean I'm healthy on the inside. And what did I miss? How did I not see this coming? Because my March 2013, when my life changed, I realized, okay, how did I not see any red flags in the years before that? So, what have you found with people who are high performers
Uh,
learning how to take ownership early?
it's really I see it across, of course, athletics, sports, and environment a lot, but also in ordinary life because
Yes.
when people put their mind, it overrides what body needs, and
Mm-hmm.
mind sometimes drives people to, I have to be there, I have to do this meeting. Look at all these CEO of the companies. They are highly stressed people, yes, and this the skill to balance your life, it's really difficult because mind drives you forward, and if you don't have foundation building blocks of energy and regime, you can very easy slip into this fatigue fatigue state because you overdoing it. And
Mm-hmm.
overdoing it is not necessarily that you like a physical battery, that you run your batteries down. No, it's because your body is incapable to carry on with the stress. It's compensate because you're fit, yes? It compensate, and finally it reaches the point it cannot. And that's where you're off the cliff. But how to do this? It's a skill. You need to apply everything, including psychology.
Well, I find it's high performers, yes, athletes, non-athletes is what I try to stress. That just you don't have to be fit to have chronic stress issues and break down and burn out your body systems. It's a matter of doing too much of everything. And often myself and listeners here are not over this side of the bell curve or on the other side, that we're not that Goldilocks effect. We're often doing everything too much, and we need to follow more of a less is more philosophy of life. But it's going to, how does chronic stress, chronic busyness, too much of everything impact our cellular health? And if it's our mitochondria, cell danger response, what do you find?
It's exactly like you said. It's a myriad of, it's cascade of effects on the at the cellular level. Yes, your mitochondria is incapable to perform produce sufficient amounts of energy, but also when you get into stress response, the whole body physiology changes, and it's directly linked to your glands. So your adrenals stop performing. Yes, adrenal, when adrenals stop performing, first of all they override other glands. So they I always have a vision like this: the three horses running. Yes, one is pituitary gland, one is your thyroid gland, one is adrenal glands. Yes, and the adrenals, the first middle horse, running, and then those two horses like lagging behind, and of course at not at the finish line, but sometime in the journey, the adrenal horse is becoming slow, and now absolutely falling behind. And then the whole glands fallen behind, and then there is a collapse in the body. Yes, because there is not enough of the parasympathetic relaxation happening. Okay, I'm throwing the term, but you should know that in your body you have autonomic control. I call it autopilot. So this autopilot controls when you to be active and when you to be relaxed and sleep. So when you're active, that's where your adrenaline is firing and you flying through the daily tasks, yes? But when you eat and when you sleep, that's when the parasympathetic system becomes dominant and you become sleepy and relaxed. This is in ideal world. Our body can control this dynamic balance. But of course, we mentioned stress. When people in stress, what's happening? It's condition which I gave name to it, sympathetic overdrive. So
Mhm.
you're constantly in sympathetic tone, you're constantly throwing adrenaline, noradrenaline in the system, and you're constantly firing in all cylinders. And night comes and you're unable to sleep because your brain is also awake, so there is no rest time. So in combination of all this dysregulation and energetic dysregulation, yes, where we talk about the cellular mitochondria, give you the perfect storm scenario when you suddenly find yourself unable to do even simple tasks. And this is all unfortunately happen more and more because apart from stress, as we all understand it, we also exposed to environmental stresses, which can etch into your body slowly, 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 drain your energy, like, exposure to EMF. People who live by these big mobile phone masts, yeah, they would impact on energetic level the body. Foods are polluted. You have to spend fair amount of energy to detox your body. And this is, as I said, it's not only one problem. And this, of course, emotional social stress. Like
Mhm.
we all have to be in social media, portray like to be perfect and successful. It also drives you, you have to spend your energy, mental energy on maintaining that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do you have, since you've lived in different countries, I'm curious of your observations of, energy malfunction and people's health at a cellular level from the lifestyle perspective. Do you see changes? You've been in Spain, the UK, Russia, US.
Absolutely, 100%. And I tell you, England is full of workaholics. I'm sorry, English people who listen to this, but the point of what I'm trying to make, I mean, the climate is not favorite, yeah, because there is a very pronounced lack of sunshine, always these gray clouds, as I remember them. And the people also pretty stressed, and the pace of life is really fast. So I see a lot more people get very quickly ill into fatigue and depression, regardless of the cause. It could be some virus attack, could be some, trauma, some post-traumatic things. But in England, I found people compared to Spanish a lot less healthy overall. And I think it's linked with lifestyle and then sun exposure, which I must say at this stage, so people would know that lack of sun exposure, because it's fundamental energy which coming from this big disk of light,
Mhm.
it's absolutely fundamental to our health. And we just started to learn how important that sun exposure. And maybe if we have conversation more about this, I will tell you exactly what's happening on physical level when we exposed to the sun. But everyone knows the sun shines. You want to drop everything, be outdoor, be happy. Your mood is regulated. And living in the UK showed me that when sun shines, I have to literally drop everything, leave my office, go outside, take my top off, and just sunbathe because it's such a rare event. Yes,
That's funny.
yes, and living in Russia, I really that was my younger age. I can't really recall, but in my time when I was there, people were pretty much outdoor, quite balanced, lifestyle. You do office or school, and then you have lots of outdoor practices. And I don't remember being that ill, like seeing lots of ill people.
Mm.
Well, and also not that part of my career I spent there so much. in US is so huge. I can't really say. I would say certainly southern states are in more favorable position because
Yeah.
they get sunshine.
Mm. I was laughing last Saturday because I flew home from Italy via London and got home midnight Sunday night. But Saturday afternoon, we were in London and it was about 25 Celsius, about 80 degrees. And we walked around Hyde Park, 'cause our hotel, the Hilton, is a great hotel if anyone needs a hotel in London, right across the street from the park. And it was packed. And we walked around it a couple times because we went to dinner and walked around town and walked through there. And it was so fascinating to me how many people and groups of people were all over the park, just sitting on the grass, sitting under trees. I mean, even after dinner, we're walking through it in the evening, and people are just out. And that makes sense that, I'm from Seattle, moved to San Diego for sunlight, which is May gray, June gloom right now. But it is so interesting to see how it is what you said in London, people, the sun's out. I gotta get outside. Because Sunday we were there and then we left in the afternoon, but it was gray. So you do have to take advantage of those sunshine days when you have it.
Absolutely. And you mentioned sitting on the grass. Well, people grounding themselves because we carry on so much static electricity in our body. So any chance when you walk barefoot, you should do because you literally throw in this all negative energy and earthing yourself. It's also has tons of health benefits.
Yeah. So that's what I want to get into, the getting to the modulation. How do we recharge ourselves?
Photobiomodulation, you mentioned, it's actually science of light affecting the body at low energies, not like beaming lasers, which, immediately Star Wars comes to mind. Yes, no, not those lasers. Opposite, the light energies comes at low intensity, and partially the sun is a big source of free sunlight, also affecting our body at low energies. And this impact has health benefits. So what scientists learn that the all spectrum of light, it's actually beneficial for our body. When you look at the sun, I mean, if you put sunshine through the prism, you could see it breaks down into different colors. You have like blue, green, yellow, red, orange, and then those invisible spectrum like infrared spectrum and also UV spectrum on the other side. They all have benefits because in our human body we have cells. Then these cells have receptors, and some cells more they basically bind the blue light. Some cells bind yellow light, but most cells, particularly mitochondria, bind red and infrared light. And so with this spectrum, red and infrared is the one which is most researched because when we bind in mitochondria by enzyme called cytochrome C oxidase, it can actually energize itself. And when it energizes itself, then it can produce more of the energy, ATP production, and it charges also mitochondrial membrane, which is like our cellular batteries.
Mm.
Yes. So these effects are most interesting for us in like rejuvenation or wellness science. Yes, although if you, for example, in red blood cells, you bind light in blue and green spectrum. So it's also very good to know for athletes who want to optimize their performance, right? You can expose your light, your particularly blood to these lights, and you have beneficial effects. I use also in my clinic use laser acupuncture in all colors. So
Yeah.
you can actually also stimulate acupuncture points with these lights. So this photobiomodulation, it's fascinating science. It's really rapidly evolving. It's growing industry. It's literally, we get so many science papers every year. It's now exponential growth. But of course, most safe and well studied, it's red and infrared lights. So those effects are directly to mitochondria and particularly red and near infrared light. And I want to make this distinction so listeners could understand that this spectrum where mitochondria binds the photons of light. But if you go beyond that in the mid-infrared or far infrared, there will be different effect because this underneath the skin we have lots of water in our body. Yes, just generally our body is what 70-80% of water. So 70-80% of water will be bound, absorb that energy of infrared light. That's why we have a effect when we go to sauna. We get this heat effect because our water becomes energized. So there is also positive effect for the body, and also that light would structure the water. I should explain this probably better.
Is that
Um,
structured water you're talking about? I had a podcast on that and cardiovascular health, but he was researching that it was more related in his research to cardiovascular health and heart disease to the structured water.
Absolutely. Because I tell you why, because in our body, inside our body, the water, it never stays like this in a glass of water or like ice or like steam. It's in a full state. It's actually water molecules polarized, and they lines every structure, including blood vessels. So inside the body, we have only structured water. So when we expose to sunlight, any water which we consume becomes structured because particularly when you expose to infrared light. So this is a good thing. And that's why I am really big advocate. Go outside, be in nature, expose yourself to these all wonderful rays of light. And of course, everything has the limit, right? You don't want to overdo this.
Yes. Interesting. I have actually going tomorrow to this company. They're called Lumati Wellness in Encinitas, California, and they have it's all light therapy and hydrogen and all this stuff. And it's pretty fascinating. The type of beds, think of a suntan bed that we used to use, but it has what you said, not just red, but they have the yellow and green in it and some blue. And they have this light panel recharge station that you stand in front of for 20 minutes, 10 minutes front, turn around in 10 minutes. And I actually felt really weird afterwards. I thought, okay, what's this going to do for 20 minutes? But I actually was sweating. And they said no one ever sweats, but I was sweating. And then afterwards, I felt really dizzy and just kind of out of it for a few hours. So it was pretty amazing. You still need to talk to them and research, okay, what's actually happening. So what would you say when you are doing light therapy and your body's responding to it? What would you think that is a sign of?
Yes, because you see, when you're in sunlight, in natural sunlight, you receive this energy in much smaller quantities. When it comes to devices and medical devices or wellness devices, then of course this energy is harnessed and concentrated. So when you expose to these panels, for example, yes, you can have biological effects like you described dizziness, feelings weird, yes, it's because the energy is potent, exposed. You expose yourself to this potent source of energy. And of course, what's going to happen? First of all, you will improve the circulation, so you circulate a lot more body. And then with that, you will be filtrating, detoxing, and through your kidneys, releasing more urine, but also you sweat, you perspire, especially if you are in infrared spectrum, then you definitely perspire, then you definitely can be hot and feeling weird. Sometimes it happens if your energy changes rapidly, like if you have like energy actually circulates in the body. And for example, if you write in a dissertation, you lots of mental activity, yes, the blood typically drawn to the brain because brain requires lots of energy and oxygen, yes, so it stays there a lot more. So if you're not careful enough, it will be too much of the blood staying there. So what I'm saying, so when you need in healthy body, you need to circulate this energy. That's why always very good to stop what you do, go for 5, 10, 15 minutes, stretch, walk, do something, and then come back to your mental work. Don't overdo this. And in the same way, when you exposed to this light, this is massive input of energy. It depending where it's in the body. Yes, maybe it's over your heart, makes your heart work very, very fast, and then pump energy maybe in your head. You'd feel like, ooh, something strange, because it's an energy change. It's a movement of energy.
Yes, this place I'm going to tomorrow again is called the recharge station that I did. You stand in front of the panel, which is, as I said, isn't just red, has different lights. But then I also had a vagal nerve stimulator on, and I had nose inhalation of oxygen, and I had headphones on listening to binaural beats, and I'm standing on a vibration plate. So they're stacking all these things together. So it was pretty interesting experience. But I think having a binder afterwards, a toxic binder or something might help for that. So going back to the red light therapy, now I have the FlexBeam and I like to use it on, like I was just saying, I have a tendon tear and I'm using that for healing. How does that help? And then I also want to dive into other methods as your microbiome and just overall energy, mitochondria health. How can red light therapy help us?
Yes, a number one effect from red lights, and including flex beam, which I've got it here.
Continue. Sorry about that.
So red light therapy, including the FlexBeam, which I have it with me here, um, has major number one effect on mitochondria. We already mentioned that it helps for the cells to generate more energy, and it's really depend what kind of part of the body you stimulate. If you stimulate, for example, shoulder, you'll get more energy within the cells here. If you put it on the stomach, will be a different effect. You might be, if you're using particularly near infrared lights, you might be stimulating gut cells. You put over the heart, you might stimulate heart cells. So, but the idea is whenever you shine lights, that's where the energetic process will improve.
Mm.
And often when people have illness or when people have some degenerative processes, yes, the cellular energy production declines. So by shining on regular basis, you can increase the energy and cell goes back to normal function. So we restore normal energetic process in the cell. The second very important effect is that when we shine lights, particularly red and near-infrared lights, what's happening there, the cytochrome C oxidase binds with oxygen better, but displays nitric oxide. So nitric oxide becomes available. And
Oh.
what it translates that suddenly in your blood flow, you have this gaseous stuff, which is help to vasodilate, improve the blood flow. That's why light, it's absolutely amazing because it's non-invasive, no side effects, mean to improve your circulation. And you
Mhm.
mentioned about the injury. Well, when you want to heal injury, you need blood to be present because blood will deliver everything what needs for this injury to repair, oxygen, nutrients, take waste away. Yeah. So that is effective. And again, if there is as a doctor, what I discovered that the inflammation always starts in the body when there is a lack of blood. Like this part of the body, blood does not reach for some reason, one or another, maybe big spasm around it. So ischemic process. So in this ischemic process, there is gradually develops very, very low oxygen at this area. So if you suddenly redirect these blood resources there and blood start flowing, you actually creating the environment for body to heal itself. So it's a
Hmm.
natural process. So having blood circulation is super important. And we do it as bypass of sort of energy production process. You've got this wonderful blood circulation. Then, of course, with all that, you might be able to improve pain, because pain comes often when, again, lack of oxygen. That achy, dull pain is lack of oxygen. So you can, in scientific literature, it describes that under red and infrared lights, the body produces more anti-inflammatory cytokines, which are messengers, and less pro-inflammatory. So you kind of regulate the inflammation.
Hmm.
So that, and we of course we know the very good effect from red lights on collagen, because it helps the collagen to become more bouncy. First of all, it binds with water better, and so it curls. Uh, the collagen is a triple helix molecule, yes, like a spring,
Mhm.
spring. And so when we go through aging process, this collagen become dehydrated and stretched like an old elastic. That's why the face drops. Yes, so having something which is with lights, we can, those potential water molecules in the body, they bind with collagen, they hydrate the collagen better, and also you create more of the collagen. That's science of red light therapy, showing that fibroblast released, so you create better connective tissue, and therefore you can put in some areas like sagging, this area with age not nice, but you can put red lights and you can stimulate that collagen face. That's why you see aesthetic field is absolutely, full of red light devices, because it will help with collagen production. And the very latest is, of course, we talk about stem cells production. Light therapy help very much to produce new stem cells. This is also documented in science. And last effect, maybe not least, but last effect I want to mention, it's circadian rhythm repair. Why? Because red lights, also known in science, help to release melatonin. And melatonin is a major hormone to regulating circadian rhythm between sleep and daytime.
So is that to have the red light therapy in the evening versus morning is ideal?
It's really up to you, but I would use red light therapy at the time when naturally sun produces red light, which is either at sunrise or at sunset. So you reinforce the message from the nature. And for many people, if they use it at night, they might fall asleep at first, but then they might become energized. So
Mm.
maybe they need to shift their sessions to the morning. But it's effective also in the afternoon if you want. It's just nicer to, in my view, it's nicer to be with a rhythm of nature as a whole.
Mm-hmm. So on an airplane, for example, that was on forever on Sunday, I did some red light therapy with a travel device that I have, smaller one, and I was curious. It felt intuitively that I should be using red light therapy while on the plane and afterwards to help that. Do you have research or correlations with that therapy to help oxidative stress and
Yes,
jet lag?
absolutely. By the way, one of the effect of melatonin, it's a really powerful antioxidant.
Mhm.
Remember, there was time when everybody was like running around and saying glutathione, 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 number one antioxidant. So guess what? Now research showing that melatonin is really powerful antioxidant. So we know that when you expose to red lights, you will be also helping the cells to detox. And one effect I promised to tell you from the beginning about light which comes from the sun, and also if you have in the device near infrared light. Near infrared light has also effect at the cellular level. Inside mitochondria, you release so-called subcellular melatonin, which is different to your regulatory cycle. It's
Mm.
inside the cell, and the purpose of that is purely to get rid of reactive oxygen species. So isn't it brilliant? Like you go to in sunshine and you cleanse your body from oxidative stress because you're exposed to this near infrared light.
Wait, so let me put that in my head. So say that again, you're doing the red infrared light and the near infrared, as you can get from FlexBeam, helps reduce reactive oxygen species. So
Yeah.
as an antioxidant, so you're reducing oxidative stress.
Yep. Near-infrared light specifically stimulates release of subcellular melatonin, which is
Mm.
like it's super late. It's research probably 2022. It's very, very fresh research. So,
Mm.
uh, and also when you go in nature, the green light reflects that near-infrared light.
Oh.
That's why when you go in the woods, you feel fantastic, right? Because you
Mhm.
suddenly clearing of your oxidative burden.
That's a, would that be forest bathing? Similar to
Yes.
that? So I was walking in London on the weekend and I saw a business that was indoor in a retail shop that's forest bathing. So speaking of what you're saying, they don't get enough sunshine. They're actually making internal manufactured forests so you can stimulate the effects of nature indoors now.
That's fantastic. People start paying attention to nature.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. It's like, how do you get forest bathing in a retail closet room that they converted to be nature? I don't know what it looked like. So
Yeah.
with the flex beam, there's three different levels. Can you speak to the red light on there and then level one, two, and three?
Yes. So we designed, when we were designing FlexBeam, we were actually looking at nature. And every of these three programs also designed to go with nature, like the cell. We don't bombard cells straight with the light, we just prepare the cell. So it's a slow introduction to light, then
Mm,
light shines, just like in the daylight, and then slow reduction by the end of the cycle. You could see all that. And in three programs, it's primarily designed to what target tissue you want to stimulate, like, but depth of penetration. So if you want to improve your skin, you need to use program one. Program
mm,
one, it will be all for the skin. And program three, it's for deepest parts of the body.
mm,
And program two is in between. I normally say program two would be for small joints, or program two will be where like Achilles tendon, really close
mhm,
to. So you can use program two. But if you want deep, like deep inside your hip, deep inside the knee, if you want to reach in the hamstrings, for example, you need three. Program three,
mm.
which is really deep. It's pure near infrared lights and it's continuous.
So with that research on the protocols, how to use a red light therapy as recharge flex beam, how often do I need to use it and how long to create results? Is there any standards, science-based protocols?
Yes, first of all, you need to ask yourself a question. What is your goal? What you're trying to achieve?
Get
If you want,
younger.
yeah, if you want to optimize your health and you want to just, be in optimal state, then of course you need to use as a routine. You use it daily. I normally recommend every day for 5 days and maybe have weekend off, for example, because that's how I normally do. I'm very strict what I eat and exercise during the week, but I do whatever I like. So I think when you just say, okay, I can be relaxed, you can remember this. But you do it as a routine. You just carry on doing it until you get bored of this. But generally speaking, this is for everyday support. However, if you suddenly got the injury, like you sprained your foot, for example, then you need to do a lot more because at the injured tissue, you need energy to heal. You really need like the body. That's why body gets hot. When you touch it, it gets hot.
Mm.
It's because it breaks down lots of energy. Motor is spinning. So I would like to use flex beam around that ankle and I would use it for just one cycle, 10 minutes. but I'm going to be using it 3 times a day. Okay,
Mm.
because I need a lot more. And I will be using this 3 times a day until I feel puffiness calm down, everything is good. Then I would use just once a day. And if you have a bigger area, like say shoulder, especially in a big rugby player or football player, yes, then you need to do two positions, front and back, for example. Yes, so 20 minutes, but you need to do it a few times a day. And then there is, of course, scenario where you have really like your grandma, hip problem, whatever. For them, too much stimulation you don't want to give. So every other day, I would just do over the area which needs attention. And if you have something which is chronic, ongoing, like low back, say, yes, or maybe knee injury, which is, difficult to heal, then you need to do not only that knee, but you need to see how it affects your body posture. Yes, because it might be because you favor in one knee, then you put in all weight on one side, and then the other side collapses, so the whole body goes out to alignment. So
Mm.
you need to put 3 4 positions, so 30 40 minutes a day, on all sorts of parts of the body.
Now, how does this compare to the cold lasers that chiropractors have in a clinic? I know that cost thousands of dollars. How does the FlexBeam device, medical grade, compare to a
Yeah.
laser that a doctor would have?
Yes, lasers, the difference between LEDs, because here's LEDs, and lasers, that LEDs, they're monochromatic. They deliver only very specific wavelengths of energy. Like if it's red, it will be like 625 nanometers, really specific.
Mm.
And because the laser is coherent, it drives energy in quite deep, yes?
Into the
However,
cell, it's driving energy into the cell, is that,
through
or
the
into the
surface,
tissue?
if you want, for example, to stimulate this part and you put the laser here, you aim to get to the inside your tissue
Mm.
here, yes.
Mhm.
But the problem is probably within 2 centimeters into the body, this coherency is lost.
Mm.
Then, if it's laser or LED, then it literally doesn't matter. But for LED, you need a lot more power. So here's the thing. If you want this device to act like laser, but not having side effects of laser, like burning eyes and everything, you can use LEDs, but it has to be powerful. And the power is this. When you see these cooling things, because their LEDs work so hard, so they become hot, the cooling things represent the power. If you see the device which does not have that, forget about it. It's not going to do the job what you see a chiropractor with laser. To be equal to laser, you really need that power.
Mm. That's good information. I know there's probably confusion out there in the market because red light therapy is all over the place now. And
Yeah.
really looking at what should people know when they're shopping around, if they're, looking at FlexBeam, or maybe they go, oh, I want to get a idea of comparison of other products. What should they be looking for when they're shopping for a good device that's medical
Yes,
grade?
yeah, this is like 100. It's interesting question. So, the number one, again, what is your goal? If you want this for your aesthetics, for your face, you don't need power, okay? Because red lights absorb within the skin, within like 1 centimeter maximum, yes? So any red lights will be okay for the skin. But
And
if you
near infrared?
within this mitochondria window spectrum, right? Within the like 600 to 700, I would say, nanometers. Yeah. Of course, if you use lasers, they're very specific, 625, 635, 660, for example. Yes. But with LEDs, they have range. So with FlexBeam, it stimulates between 610 to 650 nanometers. So it ranges. And so this is also good reason why to have LED device, yeah. But if you if you need to drive the energy through the tissue, deep, 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 all the way to the bone, like in the like sciatica pain, you need to go through the glutes, deep, deep, deep. You really need an infrared device. With knee infrared, we have here program 2 and 3 knee infrared. And the stronger the lights, the more penetration depth. Okay.
Mm.
So if you want therapeutic device, I would say go for FlexBeam. Panels probably not gonna be a solution. Panels are
Mm.
good for you to optimize your energy overall. You stand by it, yes. But this, look, it's on the body, directly on the body, and it's in skin contact. You don't lose energy in the environment. It
Mhm.
goes all in, and it beaming three-dimensionally into the area which you want to fix. So this where FlexBeam is really awesome for that. But like
Yeah.
any other device, it can also do systemic effect, which means if I put, for example, over there, center of the body here or center of the spine, I can produce systemic effect on the whole of body. So your energy will be more. Or if you want to target specific muscles, if you preparing yourself to run a marathon, you just can put over your quads, over your calves, yes, and
Mhm.
that will prepare muscles for the run. So generally speaking, again, always identify what is your goal. And
Mhm.
don't go for cheap devices, please, because I know I'm closely involved with the development programs of different devices. Cheap, not always good.
No, you get what you pay for. That's what I remind people of, if it's where is it made and who's the company. If it's super cheap, it's not going to be medical grade. I know I've
Yes,
seen some
LEDs
different products.
not efficient. LEDs could be contaminated. The light not so pure. Yeah. So and most importantly, that might pack up like in 6 months' time, and then you'll have to buy again.
Yeah. Well, I know I wish I could go into a longer conversation, but I know we have to wrap up. But what excites you of the future of this light therapy as it's growing and growing?
Exciting for me that every day we're discovering new and new merits of these lights, and
Hmm.
knowing that it's completely safe. There is no known side effects to it, apart from
Hmm.
that it could be slightly dizzy a little bit, but it's quickly goes. And it does, this improvement of circulation, particularly very, very important because there's so many drugs on the market which just designed for that to improve that vasodilate to release nitric oxide. We could do it with our photobiomodulation devices. Honestly, the whole field is exploding with knowledge, and I'm very sure soon everybody gonna have in their homes at least one photobiomodulation device which will help them to just you know keep yourself at optimal health, because then you don't need to be sick, you don't need to pay horrible insurance and subscribe to this uh, uh, toxic drug therapy. So yes, here's
Yes.
what
Well, that goes along with what I'm focusing on this podcast channel to be promoting what we can do today to take ownership of our health now and for our future self, and learning the tools that are this is very affordable method to work on improving our health at a cellular level, because just because you're active and you think you're eating healthy, there's a lot more to it in a holistic method approach that I talk about. So I appreciate what you are doing and continue to educate us in our group that we have available. Put all the links in the show notes, but where can people learn more about you or learn more about FlexBeam?
um, the company website is very simple: recharge.health.
Yes, that's right.
Straightforward. And
Yeah.
you can learn about, yeah. And my personal website is drzulia.com, drzulia.com.
Good. Well, thank you so much for your time this evening for you. And we will keep in touch and I'll keep learning from you too, because you're a great wealth of knowledge. I appreciate it. Thank you.